All right, go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. Just wanted to get your blood flowing a little bit. All right, so my name is Mario Aguilar. I'm the IT manager for the web team. So we touch a lot of things, with digital with the city. And this is Susan Price. She's with Firecat Studios. They're a partner that works with us a lot with, doing user research and user testing. And they really inform us with a lot of the things that we do on the web. So we're going to go over measuring user experience. So I'm going to hand it off to Susan. She's going to cover some of the first slides. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about a come to Jesus story that we had within the city. And then she's going to finish it up with some other stuff too. So I'll pass it off to Susan and she'll get you going.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about why we would need to measure user experience. So the projects that we work on have to be approved and funded by people like Craig and Kevin and the leadership of the city, sometimes the city council. Our clients at large enterprises have to approve our projects. And we want to decide those investments and those priorities based on facts, evidence, and data. And that the reason is because if we don't, we're basing it on someone's opinion, someone's design idea, the design team's thing. Or if you've worked in a large organization, you're probably familiar with, but this is the way we've always done it. We don't want to change it. It's too expensive. It's too disruptive, right? So the best way to change people's minds about what we're building is using evidence, right? We use the scientific method. Go ahead and move to the next slide. So what can UX metrics tell us? Well, we want to know, is what we're trying to enable people to do working? Does it solve the problem that we're trying to solve? It's a pretty simple question. You've heard several times today the 5 whys. This is why it's so important, because people will assume they know the answer already and they know the piece of software, the tool, the project, the process that needs to solve that. They jump to a solution. Often it's the first solution that they thought of. And often the people who are making these decisions are way too close to the problem. So if we can step back, use tools like the 5 whys. Who are you talking to? Who are you trying to empower? What do you want them to do? And you can choose KPIs that will help you know what the answers to those are. Then where are the friction points in an experience? We're going to take you through some examples here in a minute. And for an existing project or process or website or app, we often look at, there are ideas coming in. We need to make a change. We need to upgrade it. We need to add a feature. You need to always stop and ask why. What problem are you trying to solve? So you want to have it do 2 things. And Louise alluded to this. It needs to be helpful to the user experience not just for end users, not just for residents or customers or prospects, but for the employees and the team. We look at the entire experience and will it deliver the correct business results? So we're always looking at metrics that will measure both of those things. Next slide for me, Brady. So we look at metrics in different types. There are behavioral, what users do. Which page did you visit? What did you type into the search bar? And then did you buy? Did you purchase something? And then attitudinal. This is things like, did they thumbs up? Did they give it a star rating? So these usually fall into 2 types: quantitative, numbers and data, and qualitative, the why behind. So next slide for me. We use tools that gather user metrics, such as the City of San Antonio is a licensee of Site Improve. Mario's going to give you a little bit more on that. A lot of our clients use Google Analytics. There's professional Google Analytics that you pay for, but if you do any kind of website design or app design, you can add Google Analytics for free to any website And I recommend you look into that. We can also do surveys and ask people questions. We can do user testing, like we just saw that example from Renee and Melanie. And there can be on-page tools. Google Analytics has some on-page tools as well. We can actually pull up sa.gov and see who's on the site live right now and where they're clicking. So that's really fun to watch, especially on a new release. And then there's manual data gathering. One of our favorite tactics is looking at individual users trying to do something. It's why I was so excited that Renee and Melanie did the test they did. We hear a lot about focus groups. You've heard of focus groups? Who has participated in a focus group? Okay, a couple people. In your focus group, was there someone who always talked first? Was that a thing? So what we find in focus groups, they're interesting. They're very much used for marketing, usually by the company that is selling the marketing services. And they want to get a bunch of people in there that say, yes, this is good. We would buy this. This is wonderful. But in UX, we don't want to hear a generic discussion because people are led by the strongest person in the room. This happens in the enterprise as well. We call it HIPPO. Have you heard that acronym, HIPPO? Highest income person's personal opinion. So a lot of times decisions are made by that instead of with data. Go ahead and move on for me. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Mario.
Thank you, Susan. All right, so next I'm going to show everyone how to perform a tracheotomy. All right, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. I won't go there. That'll be for the next conference. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about measuring our website. Okay. So before I get started, I do want to just preface this by saying that we have a lot of people that contribute to our web presence, to our digital front door, and they're all doing an excellent job of trying to get content out there for the user, getting residents to access our services and our resources. And so I definitely don't want to discount the effort that we as an organization have put in trying to help our residents. That's not what I'm about to say is about. I just want to state some facts that have come about by doing things a certain way on our old site, okay? So sanantonio.gov, and I'd like for you to take out your phone if you brought it with you. I've seen some people on them, so I know you got it. Okay. Pull out your phone, go to sanantonio.gov. You're going to reach our current homepage. And I want you to just play around with it a little bit, click on some buttons, see how it responds on your mobile device and formulate some opinions for yourself. But I do have some things highlighted up here. So it's not mobile responsive. I think you probably saw that pretty quick, right? So it's kind of hard to maneuver on your phone. It's department based. So as you start to kind of, click on things and look for services and information, you're going to notice that it's really based on who owns that content, right? Now, as a resident, do I know that DSD owns a certain portion of the content or that EDD owns a certain portion of the content or health, right? All I know is that I want to get here. I've got something I want to do. I want to get it done, right? And maybe I've got things happening in my life where I'm kind of frazzled and it needs to be easy, right? So that's one thing about the old site. So it's opinion informed. So what that means is that we've tried to do our best over the years to say, how can we help our residents? We feel that it can be this way, that this would benefit them the most, right? But without getting that feedback from the user, we're really just guessing, okay? So sometimes, we have a lot of experience we're bringing into the situation, so we're not really making the best guesses in a lot of cases. It's department driven, okay? So what department driven means is that, again, departments own content. We kind of work in a silo. For a long time we've done it. We're trying to break those down. But, I own the content. It needs to go here, right? So the department is driving where things go, how they're displayed to the user. And Louise mentioned this a little bit earlier. So, 500 out of 15,000 pages are what actually generates 80% of our traffic. So why do we have so many pages out there? It's just confusing to people. Half of those pages have content that's outdated and not needed. We've talked to departments that realize, oh, you know what? I didn't even know those pages were out there. So, we made some really big realizations. We started to go through some of the techniques that Susan just went over, looking at our data and analytics. That's how we found out that only 500 out of 15,000 are generating this much traffic. So we decided to do something about it. We decided to start looking at user-centered design, usability, accessibility. And we started to, starting with the web team, kind of bring up that team, get the training necessary to understand how this stuff works, led by Louise Craig, who's been really talking about this stuff for many, many years. But we're finally able to start moving on it. So that's been the difference. So we're working on sa.gov. So go ahead and go to sa.gov on your mobile device. Now, I don't want to hear oohs and ahs too loud, okay? Because you're going to like it. I know. So this site is what we're working on. It's not fully built out yet. That's what we're migrating to right now, from Santonio.gov to sa.gov. Now you're going to notice this is mobile responsive. Thank you. I did hear a whoa. Appreciate that. Hopefully it was a good one. So it is mobile responsive. Now this is topic based. Remember a little earlier I said that people want to go to the site to do something. That's something we learned with user testing. So some of the work that Susan and her team did really opened our eyes to say people are not coming to our site to peruse, to see, oh, what does the city offer today? They have something they want to do. And so we need to get them to it right away. So we're starting to organize things by topic. It's data informed. So we're trying to stop that thinking of, I think this is what's best for them. And we're going out and asking them, hey, what do you want to know and how do you want to find it? And we're coming back with that informed data and starting to make some real changes on the site. And it's user driven. So again, the user's telling us what they want. And that's what's driving the changes and the decisions that we're making with this product. So as you go through sa.gov, you're probably going to see some navigation up at the top. That's topic-based navigation. So you have a community, business, government. When you click on those, you're going to see some topic landing domains that we call them domains, but really they're landing pages that kind of span these large topics. They span all of the departments that associate to that topic. So that the user's not having to know, oh, I need to go to DSD or I need to go here. All they know is I have this topic that I'm interested in. There's something I need to do in there, and now I can get to it quickly. Another great thing about this site is the search. This search is really robust, way better than the search we currently have on sanantonio.gov. So when somebody goes to search for something, they're going to get served what they need very, very quickly. And we also have a good navigational structure too, but some of the user testing that we've taken from Firecat shows us that most people go to Google first. If they don't find it on Google, they're going to go to our site. They're going to use our search. If they don't find it on our search, they're going to scan the page that they're on. And then mostly last, they go to the actual navigation structure that's on the site. So we learned a lot of things. So user testing is, you can't go wrong with it. You learn so much. And after we built all this stuff, we did more user testing to find out, okay, were we on the right track? We asked you these questions up front. You told us this. We put it in action. Now test it again. Is it doing what you all expected? Can you use it? And we got a lot of good feedback and some not so good feedback. And that's great because that's what you want. You don't want everybody to just tell you, oh, this is fantastic. Run with it. So we got that feedback that wasn't so great, dove a little deeper into that and made some changes to make it better. So that's the great thing about the website. It's not set in stone. So we can do something. We always want to put our best foot forward, but there's always an opportunity to improve that. And we can do that with the website. So that's the way that we're going forward. We did put some ways to collect feedback on the site. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page on sa.gov, you'll see this survey. Feel free to give us some feedback. We want your feedback too. So that can be an action item y'all can take for later on this evening. If you have a service that you think of, I wonder how easy to find that. Go ahead and try to find it. Now, again, it's not totally fleshed out. So there's a chance you might not find that particular service, but let us know. Leave some feedback. So we incorporated this feedback onto the site. It's a sentiment feedback. So people just select if it was fair, good, very good, poor, very poor. There's just a few questions. We're trying to keep it simple. And then we have an area where they could put in their response. So this is more of that qualitative. So we have quantitative and qualitative on the same survey, with the survey, of course, as a whole being more of a qualitative technique. So I'm going to pass it back to Susan, and she's going to talk about how they synthesized all that data we've collected from that survey. Thank you, Susan.
Okay, we're going to keep this moving. We used this survey tool that asked 4 questions. Did you find what you were looking for? Can you go back one, Brady, for me? The first question is, what is your overall impression of using the website? Then number 2 is, did you find what you were looking for? Number 3, was the information helpful? You understand why these are separate questions, right? You could have found it and it wasn't helpful, right? And then, did our website help you today? And it gives you a open text field. So this is the qualitative thing, not just these are qualitative ratings. How well did you like it? But we can make that into quantitative. We get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses on a specific page. One thing you might not realize, these surveys are different based on what page you're on. So if you're on the animal care services, we have an animal care services, but it's, right, we get, yeah. So we assume that if they're answering the survey on the animal care, they're talking about that. The open text comments reinforce that is what people think. Okay, can you go forward for me again? Thank you. So we had different scores for all of these different target experiences. Go ahead and move forward for me. And then we were asked to make a dashboard. And so this is more for leadership. The people who run the website, Craig, Kevin, Mario, how well are we doing overall? And so we came up with an algorithm that we used spreadsheets to figure out. We want to automate that to make it easier to keep looking at this stuff. But we have an overall score for sanantonio.gov and then an overall score for sa.gov. And directionally, we're moving in the right direction. This validates all the things that Mario just told you were important. We thought it was going to be important, but it's really great to go into the data and actually prove that he was right. So let's move forward one. So we ended up looking at the survey company gives us spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets of data, and we put it through our algorithm to arrive at those scores. Go forward one more for me. Here's the one for the animal care for sanantonio.gov. We'll also have an animal care for sa.gov if and when they move over, right? So this is those three questions. Remember I said there were 4 questions total. This is for question number 1. How many people said it was very poor? Unfortunately, that was 42% on the old site. And then did you find what you were looking for? Yes, no, kind of. Most of them didn't. That's not good. We need to improve that. And then was the information helpful? Mostly it was, kind of, and no. And then, so we have we're establishing a baseline so that when we make an improvement, we go back and look again, and are we moving the needle toward the right? Fairly straightforward. The other thing that's really important is to let people talk to you. Set up feedback loops in any experience that you're designing so they can tell us what's wrong with it. This is an easy way to establish a two-way dialogue with our customers. So I was looking for my lost dog. I pray he's here. We put that as a theme. A lot of people are just upset. So it's a reminder to the animal care services that this is a high stress thing for people coming to the website. They're under stress. They're not thinking straight. Everything needs to be super easy to use and uncomplicated. I don't even know where to start. So that tells me that the first screen that we gave them didn't give them a strong clue where to start. In that test that you guys did, there was a search, but there wasn't a big open text like people are used to from Google. That would be one of my suggestions to you guys. If you have search right in the middle, great big, with the focus in there, just like Google, you'll get people using that first. And here's one, no callback. There's no way to contact the facility. I've tried 2 different phone numbers and find both say, you cannot leave a message as this mailbox is full. So we've all had that kind of experience, a customer service experience. And it's easy for an overloaded team. They're probably a smaller than they should be team. They probably get a whole lot of calls about lost dogs. We know that San Antonio has a huge, pet problem. So, but this person is actually trying to get service. So this is really important way for the leadership of that team to know what's actually going on. It's a little window for people to be able to tell them. This is my call to action to you guys. If you have not played with Site Improve or Google Analytics, I recommend, if you want UX as a career, get familiar with it. Even if you think math isn't my thing, I failed statistics. That was me, I failed statistics. But This stuff is really fascinating. Things that both of these tools show you, page visits. The thing that, remember, Louise talked about the waterline of 80% of the traffic was coming from 500 pages. These tools will tell you that. They will tell you what are the most popular pages across either site. They will tell you where people drop off in a purchase. So if you're trying to sell life insurance or you're trying to sell books, you can see, I put it in my cart. I came back to it 5 times. I'm not pushing the button. You know, it'll tell you all that kind of stuff. It'll also tell you the demographics of the people, the location of where they're at, all kinds of interesting information. Site Improve is particularly interesting for you guys that work at COSA. It gives us 4 scores. One is the Digital Certainty Index, and that is an aggregate score, kind of like that overall quality measure that I showed you on the dashboard. Then there's quality assurance. It checks for things like, are there broken links? Did the page load? There's a performance issue? Like it takes a really long time to load. You sit there and watch, I don't like that. And then it gives, one of the reasons that the city has invested in Site Improve, it's really good for accessibility. It measures the accessibility. How are you putting alt tags? Are your PDFs, compliant? And then SEO. SEO has kind of a bad rep because marketers abuse it, but we all know how often we search for things and how important is it for the right things to come up. One of the best findings from our test of SA.gov is how well search is performing. You guys, and even on your old site, you're pretty well optimized just because we're a large city and we have a lot of traffic. These are some KPIs that Louise is proposing for us to use. The quality from Site Improve, those 4 scores. For waterline of performance, we want to make sure that the content is actually, that there's demand for it. In-person and hybrid experiences. So Louise, not just digital, but any kind of experience with the city. Hybrid means in-person and or digital. Sometimes we start off digital and then go to in-person or vice versa. Anyway, let's move on. I think that's all we've got.